Hey there, hope you're having a fantastic day in your neck of the woods, folks. We have a lot to cover here in regards to this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3. Strap your seatbelts on, folks, because we are getting started right here and right now. But before we get into the meat potatoes of today's video, I wanted to address something real quick. There's a lot of Resident Evil fans out there that get upset over my videos because I do clickbait. But the reason why I do clickbait, let me explain this to you guys right here, right now. The reason why I do clickbait, folks, is because I want to help potentially spread awareness. And if clickbaiting puts me in that position where I could help potentially spread awareness about this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3, well then so be it, because after all, that is indeed what Capcom is looking for. They're looking for the fan feedback. They want to know, kind of where we stand and if this is truly something that we are indeed clamoring for. Nonetheless, with this comment, it says, why do they need our feedback? Isn't it obvious that the whole internet is speculating and waiting for an announcement of this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3? That's a good point, good question. Why do they need our feedback? Well, they need our feedback because if we continue to come together as a Resident Evil community, and we continue to come together and push really hard and really strong, and we say, hey, Capcom, we are still here, even in the quietest of times, in regards to this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3. I mean, look at all of us. This is something that we are indeed clamoring for and might pressure Capcom into pulling that curtain back sooner rather than later. It doesn't hurt to come on here and be very vocal about an all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3 because, again, after all, that is indeed what Capcom, folks, is looking for. Now, with that said, let's go ahead. Hopefully you understand that perspective. With that said, folks, let's go ahead and jump right into it. You got some brand new information about this all new edition, I should say, of Resident Evil 2. And this is the sales for this all new edition of Resident Evil 2. It says, in this business, the popularity of major title of this all new edition of Resident Evil 2 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC exceeded expectations, driving the company's business performance. It exceeded expectations, and it's driving the company's business performance. So if Capcom is smart, they would play their cards right and get right to work on this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3, because that is, of course, going to make them big money. That would, of course, make them more money than Resident Evil 8. So if they're looking for big money, Capcom, Resident Evil 3 Remake, this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3. Now, with that said, I want to go ahead and go back to an article from December 2018. The Capcom producer says that a new title will make fake... that will make fake... Capcom producer hints at a new title that will make fans think, wow, they're making that. Now, of course, this could be many things. This could very well be this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3. But in addition to that, this could also be, folks, a Dino Crisis remake, because that would very much so be a surprise. But I also think that this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3 would very well be a surprise as well, because many Resident Evil fans would probably be in shock, like, whoa, you guys already got that done, you know what I mean? This is something that we are just now indeed clamoring for, and you already have it out? Whoa, you know what I mean? So it could very well be that title. But I do need to remind you guys that E3, at least as of this recording, is around 30 or so days away. 30 or so days away from where Capcom could potentially pull that curtain back for a Resident Evil 3, this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3, unveil. Now, it is important to note that Sony isn't going to be there. Sony is not going to be there at E3 2019 this year. So, that, of course, brings up the question, where would Capcom show this off? Will they have their own event? Will they show off this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3 or a Dino Crisis remake or whatever it may very well be at the Microsoft Xbox press conference? Who knows? But I think something is going to happen. Something is going to go down at E3 2019. I can feel it. You know what I mean? And again, if we go back to this article right here, folks, something is coming. There is a surprise title that is going to wow fans. And it's going to happen, folks, sooner rather than later. And again, if Capcom plays their cards right, well, they would dish out this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3 sooner rather than later to make that big money. Thank you so kindly for joining us here today as we continued to talk about this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3. Show Capcom your support by hitting that like button, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.